Grover's had a lot of jobs over the years on Sesame Street, and I thought it would be a pretty fun video idea if I ranked some of them. But I don't want to rank them based on their appearances, based on the quality of the sketch they come from, or Grover's portrayal in them, or anything like that. No, I want to rank Grover's jobs based on how competently I think he can perform each of them. How much would I trust Grover to do each of these jobs if he showed up to my house and had to accomplish one of them for me? How much do I trust Grover in each of these roles? That's what I want to find out today. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Muptown Funk. I'm your host Ty, and in today's very special, very stupid video, I thought it would be funny to rank some of Grover's iconic jobs on Sesame Street based on how much I would trust him to do them for me. So, let's get started. I have several other bigger projects in the works on the channel right now, and for this week, I thought it would be fun to just throw together a funny little video idea. This isn't going to be as heavily edited or informative as my typical content, but I thought it would be funny to just do this little tier list. I have organized 18 of Grover's jobs. I just went to the Grover's jobs page on the Muppet Wiki and pulled some that I thought would be interesting to rank. Now, S tier here is going to be, I fully trust that Grover can do this job well. F, of course, is going to be no. There's no way I would trust him with doing this. So we have 18 jobs here. Again, not all of Grover's jobs, just the ones I thought would be funniest, pulled from the Muppet Wiki here. So we're going to get started here with actor. Okay, so we've seen Grover be an actor on several different occasions. The one that comes to my mind is Spider-Monster, the musical, that hilarious parody of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark they did about 10 or so years ago. Back when that was relevant. That was such a strange, specific thing for Sesame Street to parody. But, you know, this image the Muppet Wiki uses is from the Monsterpiece Theater, The King and I. We saw Grover in several Monsterpiece Theater sketches, and there's never really a point where we see Grover act and he's, like, a bad actor. You know, I guess in the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark parody, he's kind of bad, but a lot of the jokes from that come from how bad the stunt work was, which is based on how bad the stunt work was in real life, of course. So Grover as an actor, I honestly think anything performative for Grover is going to be pretty good. He's got a great personality. Maybe he'd go off script a little bit every once in a while, but I think anything where Grover's able to show his personality is going to be pretty good. You know, unless he's doing like a super serious role, but I think Grover's a versatile actor. I think he would be. So we're going to start off strong. I fully trust that Grover could be a pretty good actor. There we go. Up next, we have Carnival Barker. This comes from a very recent episode from Sesame Street Season 54. And much like with Grover being an actor, this is another one I would fully, wholeheartedly trust him with doing. You know, maybe Grover trying to sell you something or bring you food isn't the best for him, but I think Grover presenting like a circus or carnival or something like that, I think he'd be great at that. I could just hear his voice shouting out, "Oh, check this out! Come over here! Look at this!" You know, can't you just see him curating one of those like test your strength games? And he'll go on and talk about how good he is at it and all of that. Honestly, I'm gonna put this above Grover as an actor. I think Grover as a carnival barker honestly might be hard to beat. I think that's a pretty good choice for him. Up next, we have Christmas Tree Salesman. I believe this comes from Elmo Saves Christmas, right? I vaguely remember a running joke throughout that special that we cut back to Grover selling trees more and more, although I may be confusing it with a different Sesame Street special. But looking at the Grover puppet used here, I believe that's what we're looking at. I remember watching Elmo Saves Christmas a few times as a kid. The Easter Bunny Santa really disturbed me. But Grover as a tree salesman, I remember the joke throughout the special is that we cut back to him and there are less and less trees because Elmo's wished it to be Christmas every day of the year. Thanks, Elmo. Just ruin everything, man. How could you? So, Grover as a salesman. There are a few different things on here that pertain to Grover as a salesman, and much like Carnival Barker, I think Grover could do a pretty good job at selling me something. It depends on what it is. You know, we have Grover as a regular salesman down here, based on all those different sketches he's in with Kermit, where he sells him wacky things. I think as a Christmas tree salesman, I'd trust him a good deal, because he's selling things that people actually buy. when we get to the Grover and Kermit sketches where he's selling like weather machines and weird gadgets and stuff, it's not stuff. It's a hard sell in the first place. But if you put Grover in front of a bunch of Christmas trees that somebody else set up, I think he'll do a pretty good job at that. Yeah. So since it's like a preset thing, right? It's Christmas trees. Grover could probably do that just fine. I trust him enough with that. Dancer. Over the years, we've really seen that Grover is one well-exercised monster. In fact, a lot of Sesame Street's healthy initiatives focus around Grover quite a bit. He's quite the athletic guy. So Grover as a dancer, seems like something he's passionate about, something he's pretty good at. Maybe he'll stumble and fall a bit. This goes in A tier. Guys, I swear there are Grover jobs I think he's bad at. Okay, I organized these alphabetically. Maybe we're just off to a very positive start. Daredevil. Yes, Daredevil. There he is. Of course, we've seen several times where Grover dresses up as a Daredevil. He was an Evel Knievel parody for a bit named Grover Canover. And I remember seeing a lot of that in books. But I can't say I've ever seen a Sesame Street segment where Grover is a Daredevil. I remember a lot of the Sesame Street Dictionary featuring Grover Canover. Sesame Street Dictionary, loved that book as a kid. I would constantly get it out of my library. I hope it's still there. I wonder if they still have it. But, I actually don't really have much of a basis for Grover as a Daredevil, so I'm going to have to go off of what I know and what I would trust. Would Grover be a good Daredevil? I've seen him be good at other performative things, right? I've been very nice towards Grover doing performances. I'd say he'd be a good actor, a good dancer, but with a Daredevil, you're kind of playing with life and death, quite frankly. It's far more dangerous, and because of that, I'm going to put it in C tier, towards the middle here, right? I guess there is no exact middle on the tier list. So we'll say C tier. For ones I don't really fully trust him in. I think he could get himself hurt. And possibly hurt the audience, maybe. Hopefully not, obviously. Up next, dentist and doctor. There is no way I would trust Grover with that, thank you. No way. I would never in a million years trust Grover with any sort of medical procedure. Okay? Never. Grover has to give me anesthesia, pull a tooth. I'm not trusting that guy. Grover has to perform a surgery on me, give me a checkup of any kind. I would not trust Grover to have proper medical proficiency. I'm sorry, buddy. I could not. It would not be a safe procedure. This one is labeled as furniture delivery man. And this is, I'm sorry, I feel like I completely glossed over dentist and doctor. There's nothing else I can say for these guys. I do not trust him in the medical field. Okay, so this one is specifically labeled as furniture delivery, which is very specific. But I chose this one because I think Grover could do a pretty good job at delivering things, so long as somebody else is the one who tells him what to deliver and where it goes, and as long as they're clear. It's kind of like what I said for the Christmas tree salesman. If somebody else is in charge and Grover's kind of the subordinate, right? If somebody else is in charge of the Christmas tree farm and Grover just has to sell them to you, if somebody else is the one telling Grover where to go and they give clear instructions, Grover could probably be a pretty good delivery man. Pilot. No. I don't trust Grover as a pilot. This is an awful image. This is from a sketch where he demonstrates flying high and low, and yeah, I can't say I trust Grover to fly me anywhere. I'm sorry. I don't. I think I may trust it a little more than him being a doctor. He's got a helmet at the very least, so we'll go in D tier. Police officer. I think this is from a Monster Piece theater sketch, right? I believe. So technically it'd be Grover playing a police officer, but we're just going to take it as Grover acting as law enforcement. No way. Once again, if Grover has to keep me safe in any capacity, I cannot trust it. Harry would probably do pretty good. I trust Harry significantly more. Unfortunately, this isn't a tier list of Harry monster jobs, it's a tier list of Grover jobs. So I'm sorry, Grover, I would not trust you in law enforcement. Professor or teacher. It's labeled as professor on the wiki. It's here right after police officer, so we are in the P section here. But here's the thing. I don't think Grover is an inherently bad teacher. He gets things wrong a lot. He really does. Because it's Sesame Street. Of course he has to get things wrong. That's really a major part of Grover's character. Especially in the show nowadays, from what I've seen, a lot of it is Grover kind of acting as a sort of teacher-type character who knows a lot but doesn't know all that much in the end and kind of has to be taught some additional things. So Grover as a teacher is hard to place. Because I think you do a very good job as a teacher, regardless of, like, what demographic he's teaching. He'd be good teaching young kids. He'd be good as a high school teacher. I think, considering his professor here, Grover would be a pretty good college professor, all things considered. He'd be one of those fun professors that let you out, like, 30 minutes early every week. You know, I've had some college classes where I could certainly say that my professors are certainly as fun as Grover could be if he were a teacher. The concern is the content that Grover's teaching, right? How much do you trust Grover to teach you the content? And so for that, I think I'm going to put it in B tier, at the top of B tier. I'd say highest in the tier is what I trust him to do the most, right? So I'm saying I trust him to be a dentist most out of these three. I guess so. I guess. Safari tour guide. This is another more recent Grover job, another one that I think falls into a similar category that I was just talking about with Professor Grover, right? Where I trust him to do a fun job of educating me, but I don't know if I trust him to do a fully good job of educating me. So we'll throw it in B tier there as well. He'd be a great tour guide for sure. You know what? I'm going to put it in A tier then. Low A tier. No, never mind. We'll just put it in high B tier. Especially if he's reading off of somebody else's guide. Once again, the case of I trust Grover to present it well, but not to do the thing himself, right? Not to write the information himself, but he'd do a great job at presenting it. Safety monitor. This has a high chance of being the one I use in the thumbnail, okay? I saw this image, I thought it was so funny. This was one of the main things that inspired me to go through with this video. I looked into it. This is from some episode in the early 70s where Grover decides that he's going to be Sesame Street's official safety monitor. And if it's out there, I'd love to cover it in a future Insanity episode. But he does things like tell Maria it's dangerous that her shoes are untied. And he ties them, but he accidentally ties them together or something like that. Once again, Grover, very overzealous, over the top, really overachieving here, but putting himself in a scenario where he is apparently keeping me safe. I don't trust it. Salesman. Okay, this is what I was saying earlier with Christmas tree salesman, right? There are a lot of sketches out there, very funny ones. This is what really inspired me to make this tier list, actually. I've been working kind of in the background on a project reviewing all of Kermit's appearances on Sesame Street. It's not something I plan on doing anytime soon, but I'm kind of in very early planning stages for it. I put up a poll the other day to gauge people's interests. I was torn between reviewing every Ernie and Bert appearance or every Kermit appearance, and Kermit won. So I'm kind of starting early prep by going back and looking at some Kermit appearances. And I absolutely love Kermit and Grover. And how could you not? I mean, it's Jim Henson and Frank Oz, right? I think it's definitely one of their most underrated pairings. That and Kermit and Cookie Monster, for sure. But Grover selling Kermit things was always so funny. I remember absolutely cracking up at these as a kid. And even now, they're still so funny. Grover trying to sell Kermit earmuffs, but he doesn't have ears, so Grover gives him fake ears, stuff like that. Grover, we learn from this, is a very persistent salesman. Kermit oftentimes is not in the market for what Grover's selling him. So Grover makes him be in the market oftentimes. He's such a persistent salesman that he kind of alters the person he's selling to. Honestly, at the end of the day, as a salesman, I think I'm going to put him in low C tier. You know, he oftentimes, although the punchline of these sketches is often what I just said, that Grover kind of makes Kermit into the proper customer, Kermit's still always mad. You know, Grover's not a very good salesman. He could be a clever one, but he's not very good at selling items, purely because he really can't pull it off. Street performer. That's going in S tier. I think Grover would make a great street performer, just like how he'd make a good actor in Carnival Barker. Very much in a similar camp, except here Grover would be kind of self-employed and he would be performing for people. I trust that Grover could be a good park street performer, sure. Maybe a bit too loud and annoying, but hey, I once drove to Walmart and heard somebody playing a Camila Cabello song on an accordion outside of Walmart. I don't know why, but I think all street performers are a little annoying. No offense to the street performers in the audience. Okay, Usher. Usher falls in a similar category to some of these other jobs, where I've said I think Grover would do a good job if somebody else were giving him the instructions. Grover would do a good job at pointing to where people should go if he was told where they were supposed to go beforehand. Other than that, I think he'd do a pretty bad job at organizing people's seats. I'll put him in C tier. There we go. Okay, window washer. This is from a Grover appearance on Good Morning America. One of very few Grover jobs here that is just physical work. I think he would be a pretty good window washer. He lives in New York. I think he could do a good job as long as he doesn't fall off the platform. Something like this where you don't really need to put that much trust in him, right? It's not like he's a police officer or a pilot. He's washing windows. It's a simple task. I think it's a very hard task for Grover to mess up. Put it in A tier, because why not? And finally, waiter. I saved waiter for last, not only because it's the last one alphabetically, but also because it's the most famous, of course. And also because I think I have a pretty interesting take on it. A few months ago for this channel, I reviewed every Waiter Grover sketch ever, and so I got a lot of insight on Grover as a waiter. And for this tier list, I've got to say, Grover is not as bad a waiter as you might think. And a lot of the sketches, and a lot of them, it's the fault of the restaurant. Charlie's Restaurant is a terrible place to work, and time again, they don't have what Mr. Johnson's looking for, or they have weird, stupid gimmicks on the menu that day, like it's rhyming day, or it's Charlie's birthday, and you can only order things that start with the ch sound, right, the letter CH. Time and time again, Grover as a waiter is a victim of circumstance, and that's not even to mention the times where Mr. Johnson is the problem. There are very few sketches where he is, but especially early on, there have been several times where he's kind of the annoying one. Also, Grover's the waiter and not the chef. So very much so, I believe Grover as a waiter is often a victim of bad circumstances in his workplace, and oftentimes you could see he's trying his best. Is he the best waiter ever? No. So honestly, I'll throw him at the end of B tier. If Grover's working in a good establishment, I think he could be a pretty okay waiter. But the place he works, the people he deals with, are putting him in a bad position. It's not a very good position for Grover to thrive as a worker. But there you have it, everybody. We've now ranked 18 of Grover's jobs based on how competently I think he could do them. To review, in last place here in F tier, police officer, safety monitor, doctor, dentist in D tier, pilot in C tier, salesman, daredevil. You know what, let's move daredevil up. If the... Hold on, wait. Yeah, so the... Hold on, let me... There we go. Top of the tier is supposed to be the one I think he could do best. So I'd go Daredevil, Salesman, Usher. In B tier, Waiter, Delivery Man, Professor, Safari, Tour Guide. In A tier, Window Washer, Dancer, Christmas Tree Salesman. And in S tier, Street Performer, Actor, and Carnival Barker, I think would be best for Grover. And there you have it, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I know this is different than my usual content. It's just a stupid, silly little video that I would thought would be funny. But let me know what jobs you would trust Grover with doing down in the comments. And let me know if you'd like to see a part 2 or any other more comedic tier list videos like this. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.